G'day, Dr. Tony here with Realms of Power podcast. Today I've got a fantastic guest. His name's Justin Brown. I've known Justin for a few years now, and he's achieved a whole lot of amazing things in his life. And yeah, we've just talked about the realms of power and how you could turn someone's power on. So, Justin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Mate, it's an absolute honor. So, yeah, just for the listeners, if you'd like to just start by maybe just giving some of your background, some of your story, whether that's in business. I know you've got a very successful business running, but you've got some personal growth stories as well, I'm sure you'd like to share. So just give the listeners a sense of who you are, where you've come from, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, cool. Just starting with the easy stuff. I think the business side and the personal side are heavily intertwined because it is a lifestyle business. I started out making videos from a very young age, and that evolved to eventually starting a YouTube channel with my brother. And now we teach people how they can get their message out easier. So we teach the fundamentals of creating videos, getting eyeballs on them, and then through to the monetization side of it. So really, we're helping people build the life that they want from talking about and geeking out on the stuff that they're interested in. I think that's really important, and obviously big alignment with what you teach. If we're doing stuff that we enjoy, we're going to do more of it. Life's more fun. So I like the outcome of having these videos and things out there and seeing the ripple effects of what that's actually doing. Because there was a point for us when we started this YouTube journey where it wasn't working. And it was draining. It wasn't fun. But we hear all these stories like, but we can help so many people. There's all these people on YouTube, but how do we make that work? And when it's not working, it's almost, it's depressing. It's like, why are we doing this? So for us, there's been a lot of little places along the way where we've kind of had to stop, take stock, look at what are we doing? Is this fun? What else can we test here? But have the ability to stop things and to repivot, readjust along the way. I think that's a really big piece of it's having the life that you want, like the choice to work. Hadn't you framed it before? You one of your 4 key pillars?
Well, never needing to work again and doing what you love doing are the things you're talking about, which I guess ties in with the other two, which is being really authentic. Can't really have fun if you're not being authentic and doing stuff as a grind, like you just used. And that creates that ultimate freedom. So, yeah, all 4 we're basically touching on.
It's pretty hard to fake fun. This is going to look awkward. It's going to feel bad. So I think if for us, a big filter for what we're doing, and this is something I wish we'd started earlier, is trying to find the fun. Mm-hmm. So that now flies through. That was a long kind of squirrel brain answer to your question. My background's in video. We teach video. We built a business around it, which is doing really well. And we're just constantly refining what fun looks like and what a good outcome would look like, not just for us, but how do we bring everyone up with what we're doing as well.
Well, often it's about timing, isn't it? And the timing of the way the platforms are in the world when you've aligned with that timing has for you worked. And I know that there are so many people out there trying to do what you're doing and emulate, and you're trying to bring them up, not going in your ego like we're the only ones that can do this. I know just you're a genuine man and you really like the authenticity of bringing people up. Tell me more about that.
I think the authentic piece comes easy if you enjoy what you do. And so if we work backwards from there, there's not many people out there that are really bad people. I mean, maybe there's bad decisions or whatever. Maybe we've all seen people. What's wrong? But we have no idea what's going on in there. So we don't need to address that. But for most people, they're good people. They want to help people.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that my passion or my enjoyment of me making videos actually could have ripple effects and help other people get their message and stuff out there, that really was a big wake up moment for me. So when our YouTube channel wasn't working, which is a big piece of our business now, and we were about to shut it down, there was a comment that came through and it was, "Thank you so much for making this video." The video was showing how to make videos. I just made my first video on raising awareness for autistic children. That was a big slap in the face moment. It's like, I need to get out of my fear of being on camera, because I used to hate having my photo taken. That's why I'm speaking, creating videos, or all the other BS that we tell ourselves, public speaking, all of these fears and stuff. So this is so much bigger than me and my BS. We have the ability to help so many other people have their, their moment, help their people and be the hero in their story. So that was a big eye opener for me. And that's now a big piece of, we can never measure the ripple effects of the things that we do for any one of us. And by stepping outside of what it is we're doing and looking at a really big picture, we have the ability to have some real impact, and which in turn I think is the authentic piece. It's fun, it's easy, and it helps people. So it's checking in the boxes as far as I'm concerned.
So tell me about where your business is up to now. I know you've got a lot of followers, you're creating great content. Tell me just more about where it's actually at for the listeners.
Yeah, so we're now, I guess, dollars time. It's a 7-figure annual business. We have a team, which is crazy for a YouTube channel. That's still crazy for me to say. But we also run monthly membership as well, so deeper dive training with coaching calls and those kinds of things. So the business side is really fueled from us just putting out free stuff on YouTube, helping people with the stuff that I geek out on. So it's fun. And I'm like, this is crazy. How's this thing? So right now there's a lot of AI stuff that we're teaching people about because it helps people make videos easier, which means their message can get out easier. So that's really what's at the core of it. But it's not. I really like this reframe that we got early on from a mentor of ours, James Wedmore. And it's like, what would it look like if it was fun and easy? For us, this is a lifestyle business. We get to do this, not we have to do this. And that's a massive reframe for us. So I don't have to work 40 hours a week. There's weeks where I will, and I get to do that. But it's a choice thing because I enjoy it. And there's others where I'm like, cool, it can take 2 hours to keep everything ticking along this week. It's a 2-hour week. So I say that not to brag in any way, shape, or form. I think for any one of us, it's a choice, and we can get to the place where if we're doing what we love, and I know this is what you talk about as well, that life is easier and we're able to have some pretty awesome impact on.
Yeah, cool. Now, look, some of the listeners I'm sure are going to ask, so what's the name of the channel that you actually have?
It's called Primal Video. And we passed 1.7 million subscribers, not too long ago. So
Mate, that is epic. And just being in the room with you and having known you for a while, I'm sure the listeners can feel the presence that you have. And for some people, when they look at successful people in business, they see some presence. And what would you say about your presence now compared to, say, when the YouTube channel wasn't going as well?
Yeah, I think there's a saying I'm going to butcher it. Something about the confidence, the power comes with confidence or something like that. Like the more runs you have on the board, the more repetitions, the more you practice something, the better you'll become. And yeah, at the start, I was a nervous wreck. I thought I was going to be the guy behind the camera because that was my role.
Yeah.
I started with my brother Mike, but it turns out, he's like, you're the video guy. You need to be on camera. So it really has been a learned thing. But over time, and I think when you start to see the results that you can get other people, the power piece, the confidence piece is easy because then it's about just talking to the right people. We don't need everyone to watch all our videos. We only want the people that are interested in that to watch our videos. And it's the same for anyone looking to even grow, promote a business. There's this almost like this hidden belief that I need to be everywhere. I need to do all these things. No, we don't. We just need to be where our people are going to be. And we need to speak the way that they're speaking so that we're speaking the same language. We're able to have that help and impact for the right people, not everyone. So that was a big shift for me. And then it was like a weight off my shoulders. I was then able to have more fun knowing that I don't need everyone to watch my stuff. I'm only making this for a handful of people. If more people see it, awesome. If not, I've had fun making it, and hopefully we're able to shift a few people with the topic of that video.
Well, there's a passion in your presence as well. And the passion, the excitement, the enthusiasm, some people, again, struggle with that. What would you share with the listeners about how to find that balance of passion and presence, whether that is in business or whether that's in relationships or, as you know, it goes across all the different realms? How would you share with the listeners something they could do to find that beyond just repetition and getting some runs on the board? How can they find that power within themselves to create that space?
Yeah, it's a good point, because if you're just practicing something that you don't enjoy, you get better at it, you're not going to improve the enjoyment, right? So I think you need to come back to the place of what is it that you truly enjoy? What are the things that you will be doing outside of hours, like outside of business or work, irrespective of if you were being paid or not? So if a good place to look is back in your childhood. What was the stuff that you really geeked out on, that really enjoyed, where there weren't limits around things. We weren't doing things for $1. What are those things? And for a lot of people, they lose the creative things. Like a lot of people love art, they love writing, they love drawing, but they lose that as they get older because they have to do things. And so I think it's almost a little bit, I hate to say, a little bit of soul searching or testing, really trying different stuff. And this is something that I've found as I get older. I'm really going to push my comfort zones to try new stuff. Whereas as a kid, we're trying different sports and things, and we can figure that stuff out easy. So I think to find your power, you need to be testing different things and just say, hey, I really enjoyed that thing. And for some of you probably already know what these things are, but you might not be giving yourself permission to push that and take it to the next level and to start to have those conversations with people.
On the flip side of that, like all people that can sound really great on camera, look like they're having that YouTube or that Insta life, everyone has challenges as well. I know you've had some. Would you like to share with the listeners, just so that they can see that you're still very human, one of those challenges, and I guess how you've used what you've learned to overcome that?
Yeah, so I've had a lot of challenges for sure, as with we're all human, right? And I think this is part of the human experience still, is that we're here to learn stuff. We're here to go through stuff. So I've been through a lot as well. And probably my most recent one was I snapped my Achilles thinking I was invincible, turned 40 and started falling apart, doing the stuff that I've done so many times. And yeah, just running on the beach, snapped my Achilles. And that's a big shakeup for my lifestyle, which is very active gym, jiu-jitsu I was doing then. And yeah, so to be really forced to stop, it definitely changes things. I mean, I've definitely been on much more of, I guess, a spiritual or inner looking journey from that point on, which is, again, just finding like, why are we here? What do I enjoy? How do I help more people have enjoyment? There's always like a really good slowing down moment to reshift and readjust.
So physical, you've got to do the rehab, you've got to do the thing to get yourself back on track. But can you say more about the spiritual path that you've taken just recently to, again, find that centeredness, to ask those big questions? Why are we here? What's my purpose? Am I actually, even though I'm successful in business, am I doing what I'm really here to do? Can you share more about that for the listeners?
Yeah, so I think in any one of us, we're aware of our feelings. And especially as men, we're kind of often, don't worry about that. You know, you can't share those things, and they kind of get dusted under the rug. But I think the more I've learned into what I'm feeling and explored that, like if I'm frustrated, I now will sit with it, like go to a meditative state and sit with it. Like, why is this not fun and easy? Why is this not in flow and fluid and fun? And it's really interesting what you can uncover there at a much deeper level of what you actually enjoy and what are the outside things that are happening, or even inside as well, that are forming the decisions that you're making, or really leading the decisions you're making. Because if that's all we have is choices that we make, we're choosing to go get a coffee in the morning, where we choose to have that, what we do next, we're choosing to have road rage, to not have road rage. I think for me, the kind of journey I've been going down is really trying to tune into what is the feeling I'm having in this moment, to catch that feeling and then explore that. Why am I feeling this way? What could it mean? What triggered it? And then how do I either remove myself from those situations going forward, or use them to help make better decisions? So when we've got big business or big life decisions, I'm feeling into that. What would it feel like if it was fun and easy? So yeah, I've really been going down that journey. And from a practical sense, I've meditated before, but I'd also overcomplicated it like crazy. You hear, you got to do this, you got to sit this way, cross your legs. And I've been working with a guy, Nathan King, and he's just changed my whole outlook on that. And now it's just about sitting in quiet, shutting your eyes and just feeling and just thinking about what's going on in my body. What am I feeling? And I think from that point, it removes so much BS that I was told, at least, and all the stuff that's out there and what we need to do to really connect with ourselves, to change our perspective on things, but also change the way we're feeling. So, I mean, I have the ability now, as all of us do, to at a moment's notice, if I can catch myself, and that's the trick. If I catch myself being worried, frustrated, or down on energy, just to switch off for a few minutes and to bring in some energy, as silly as that might sound, but just to think of extra energy coming in. And it's like I've had a Red Bull. I'm good to go. Right? So there's probably a little Band-Aid fix on something, but it's enough to keep you going to then you can dive deeper in, at a later time.
Yeah, look, the amount of people I've spoken to, as you know, I've coached, especially with a lot of men over many years. And initially there's that, she'll be right, stoicism, just get on with it, got to pay the bills, versus finding that heart space to have some sort of deep connection, and in a male way, not in that feminine way, not to say feminine's bad, but just finding that male way of doing both masculinity and femininity to create connection. And a lot of that is just with yourself. And then once you've found that with yourself, it's a lot easier to connect with people like-minded, to really create those deep connections. And it's not a judgment on where you're at in your life, how much spiritual evolution, that the ego, that I'm more spiritually evolved than you are. It's not that at all. It's really, we're here, we have these heartbeats, we get to choose what we do with the time we've got. And what is that path for you? Because everyone's going to have their own path. I'd ask you, there seems to be some shifting in the world right now. If we look at the way that the world is going, people's perception of whether it's political, whether it's country, whether it's financial stress, drama, whatever else, how would you say that spiritual journey ties in with the current state of the world? Yeah, that's a big question, but let's see how you go.
That's a question. Okay. I think I would dial it back a bit and say there's always going to be stuff that is beyond our control, but how we react to these things is the piece that we have control over. And obviously, things like money, numbers on the screen really is all they are these days. We need that. We need that to live.
Good.
So we need to get past some of the stuff which is either limiting us from making money in terms of it could be the 9-to-5 job that you have. How do we negotiate a higher rate, or how do we change jobs? But there's so many people that are stuck, and they're stuck in the conditions that the sad truth is you've put yourself. The moment you take responsibility and say, full ownership of everything that's got me to this point. Let's not dwell on the past. Let's just look forward and see what can we do now to make this an amazing experience from here on in. That's really the piece that you have control over. Yes, maybe as a big group, we could shift big things and change the world that way. And that's probably a next level. But internally for yourself, with your own reality of what's happening for you, just having control over how you're feeling about the different situations and things as they unfold, I think is probably the biggest thing that we need to start doing. And that's probably been the biggest shift for me, is knowing that in order to change things external, they got to change with me first. It's how I'm viewing it and how I'm approaching it, how I'm feeling about it. And that flows right through to even relationships as well, and conversations. Like removing yourself from negative situations, people that are just draining your energy. Like I feel like now I'm becoming more of a, not a rude person, but I'm definitely much more picky with the people I'm spending time with. And I just don't have time for the people that aren't aligned with the conversations I want to have, or they're not talking about all the negative stuff. And it's draining, and it's just brings everyone down. So that choice, it's all a choice, is where I'm going with this. Again, my squirrel brain jumping all over the place. I think that's probably been the biggest thing for me, is choosing how do you want to live your life? How do you want to live your day? And yeah, a great piece that was shared with me, and I think this exercise could help anyone listening to this, is just imagine you woke up today and you've got everything that has happened to this point is done. Because that's actually a fact. You can't do anything about it. But so we're just thinking, all right, any other BS belief or anything that I've made, I'm not attached to that anymore. So I can choose now, what do I want to do today? And there will be some things I said we have to do, but what do we want that to look like next month, the month after that, the month after that? It's a choice. What has happened, but let's choose what we want from here on in. And I know that for some people that's so obvious, for others, yeah, whatever. But for me, that's what I needed. And it's part of my morning wake up routine now is, cool, let's step out of the history, because it's so easy to get brought back into it. And what do I want to do today? And so I think starting that place is way more fun.
I said that in one of my earlier podcasts, that first morning thought. What's your first morning thought? If your first morning thought is, oh, shit, I've got to go to work today, or
it's Monday.
you're down on yourself, or you're down on the things that you got to do, or stuff you don't want to do, versus you still got the same thing that's probably going to happen that day, but your mindset of, wow, I'm so lucky to wake up today. What do I want to achieve today? How do I want to make it in alignment with my resonance, and who are the people that I want to choose to have around me? So there's so much power and depth in the wisdom you're sharing. And I love that it's coming from, a passionate man with presence, with success, who's had challenges, because men, I think, are really struggling as a whole at the moment. And we sort of feel like, again, it's a generalization, but have lost their way a little. I wanted to take that because there was something that just I felt when you were sharing that about the younger generation, your children, the teenagers of the day, the younger kids coming up into this world with the AI, the technology, the access to all of the things. What would you share as a parent yourself and as a wise man to that generation about how they could step into their power in the current world we're in?
I think more than ever before, we've got so many distractions. I think social media is probably one of the best and worst things that has happened. I say best because our business is built on one. But look, in my house, my kids don't get to watch YouTube, or very rarely. And if they do, it's with us. So it's controlled. I think there is so much damaging stuff on social media that is just, it's common now for kids to be walking around and teenagers to be walking around looking at phones, looking at iPads and stuff. And it's really damaging. It's crazy how much, and I see it because I'm teaching people how to be successful on this stuff, but I'm seeing all the shit that's on there. And I know so many people that they're just mind numb. You can't have a real conversation with them. Expectations for things, attention spans are just crazy. So I think if we start from that place and we really got to try to break out and get out into the world, talking with people. Like one of the biggest things I'm pushing with my kids at the moment, they're pretty young, is when we go to a restaurant, they're ordering their food. Mm-hmm. Little things like that, because they're so used to not speaking up. And I see that in nephews and nieces and things as well. They're shy, they're awkward. Or then they're the flip opposite, where they just expect things. There's no real work ethic and they want stuff for free. And I think all of that really stems back from what I believe is what's happening on social media and the stuff that they're consuming. So it's a big topic. How do we dial that back? But I think the more that we can, as adults and parents, control that stuff as best we can, when we can, and really have times without it and connection without it, I think that's really going to be important. But the whole AI thing that you touched on, well, yeah, that's a whole different podcast. I think I'm all for embracing AI. I think, and that my views might be a little different to others, but I think that there's going to be a point very, very soon where being the smartest person in the room won't mean anything, because they're all the smartest person in the room. We've all got access to this massive, massive database of information and a big brain that we can access at any time. And if we think of that, I really look at AI like consciousness, really at a level. And so the people that are able to prompt engineer the AI are going to be the ones that are going to be standing out. But I also think the people that can, in a sense, prompt engineer the consciousness side of things and connect and really be in tune with themselves and others from a higher level, I think that's where it's going.
Yeah, it is. I've changed my wording of it from artificial intelligence to ethereal intelligence, starting with an A, because I think it is, I don't even know exactly where it's from, and it's accessing far-ranging intelligence that we don't really know. Yeah. But you're right, that is another podcast. As a chiropractor, again, you were saying maybe your YouTube channel might suffer if, they get off the thing, and you're just saying get off the thing. As a chiropractor, what I see is so many kids have their heads down, and that does, I guess, in a way, indirectly help my business, because they're putting their neck out. I say, get your head up, look up, and even as you said, eye contact. Yeah. The ability for that generation to create eye contact, hold a conversation, not then check their phone 8 times through a normal conversation, is a challenge for a lot of people. And this podcast is not about getting people off their device, but it's just having discernment and awareness as a parent and taking that ultimate responsibility. I don't know if the cargo ship is going to be steered very quickly away from the path that it's going. That is an interesting debate. Probably have to get you back onto that one, I reckon.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting playing out. I think attention spans are what all these big companies want. And I think the thing that probably humanity needs more than ever is more of a disconnect. The human to human connection is the piece I'm seeing that's missing.
Yeah. And the connection with nature, if I'll add to that. Yeah, just like you said, you're running on the beach and going into the water and walking in nature. Those things are the natural world. And I said before that a lot of people are disconnected from that. Even just being out in the sun, there's so many fears on so many different things that we've become inside insular. I remember seeing a comic where I think it was back in the 70s, mum was trying to drag the kid by the ear back in the house because they're outside playing. And then now the mum's trying to drag the kid by the ear out of the device back into nature. So maybe that swing will go backwards and forwards. Who knows?
Well, you know what? Nature's dangerous, right?
Yeah.
I hurt my leg running on the beach.
That's right.
Like this, I think that's the piece. The kids growing up, it was different. It's different now. And this is new times. We've never had these challenges and these things before. And who knows what the next one looks like. But this is where if we keep coming back to let's control what we can control. Let's at least have a North Star where we want to try to get things and just try to move closer to that. Like, what is the life you want? What's the relationship you want with your friends, your family, whatever? And let's choose to move towards that better than just going with whatever is happening and getting stuck in fear and all this other crap that's out there.
Yeah, mate, I love it. I think probably a good place to start rounding out this podcast. Again, it's been an honor to have you, and you've got such wisdom, and there's so much more to the spiritual journey you've had. It'd be great to get you back on in the future. But what I just got an inkling that you've just got some wisdom, and I know you speak quickly, and it might go, you do it your way, but you've got some wisdom from the listeners to round out this podcast, a message, a learning, a hit that will help someone, one person maybe, or multiple on this podcast. What's your feeling? Get in your feeling and just from your heart, what would be something you'd want to share with the listeners of how they could turn their true aligned power on?
I think just knowing that no matter what situation you're in now, good or bad, there are choices that you can make to get yourself out of that. And I don't say that as a cop out. Oh, yeah, I've got choices. We've all got choices. But I think that if we're here to have fun. We're here to help each other. We're here to have a good time. And we need to find out. Some of you are already doing that, which is awesome. Cool. How do we help others, right? Once we solve our immediate need of putting food on the table, there's some dollars in the bank account, we can do so. How do we help others get to that point? I think that's find the things that are fun for you. Know that you are in control of your decisions. We're constantly being fed negative stuff to keep us playing small. So the more you can separate yourself from the negative shit, the better the outcome is going to be. You can see I'm passionate about it. I think the decisions we make are the most important piece, but knowing that you are in control of that and no one is coming to save you, it's up to you to make the best choices for you.
I love that last line. You got to repeat that.
Oh, I blacked out. I'm not sure. No one's coming to save you. I heard that recently. I'm like, that's so good. No one's coming to save you. If you want someone to lift you up, you've probably got to get yourself at least started on that ladder so that others can then see. But I think, let's leave it there.
Yeah, that's brilliant. It touches on victim consciousness that so many people have. And a recent podcast I did with Ixta talked about the guru is within you. And that ties in exactly with what you said. No one is coming to save you. Make your decisions. Stand in your power is going to make all the difference versus relying on others and being stuck. And that's I guess the true essence of this podcast is to stand in your power and have an awesome life. So, mate, once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really, really appreciate it. If you do want to check out some of Justin's video content on YouTube, Primal Video, and it certainly will come up. I've watched so many of your videos. I love the content and the enthusiasm. It's just like the enthusiasm on this podcast. So, mate, thanks again for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invite.
Okay, everyone, have an awesome day. See ya.